Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been reading a few of the comments coming in already, and it's raining here and there, including here. So it feels great. We just hope we don't have another storm like we had last week, which was actually pretty devastating. It seems like I have a lot to talk about this time. I always start out with an introduction to what we're doing for So Confident for the month. And this is the month of the Riviera shirt, which starts out like this, with a collar and a stand, a button at the stand, and one other button, with the left side longer than the right, and a fairly plain back. We are turning this into this with a really interesting fabric. We have some kits left of this, but we've shortened that left front. Same overlap, but now we've added buttons all the way down to make it really a complete shirt. Changed the collar, simplified it a lot. 2-inch stand-up collar, or you can wear it open and splayed out. And we've added a contrasting piece to the bottom of the left sleeve and sort of emulated the front by overlapping the left back over the right back. So some simple changes. We hope you love it. We have a Q&A Thursday, 4 o'clock Central Time. We've already had one. We have some new things to talk about for that Q&A. So if you joined us last week for the first one, you're always welcome to join us for the second one. And of course, those of you who weren't able to catch it because of time frame or whatever, please join us. I'll see you at 4 o'clock on Thursday. So I walk in the office this morning and I see Deb, and she always has something on that she's made. I think she's one of those people that truly is the kind of sewer that we all want to be. And she wears everything that she makes, or everything she wears, she's made. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Every day. So it is her wardrobe, and I think that is just fabulous. From super casual. I've never asked you what you work in the yard in, but but at any rate, wonderful clothes. So I thought you'd like to see what she has on today because it relates to a very recent project. Last month, for So Confident, we were taking the eTee pattern and adding some sleeves, some different sleeves, and so that's what she's done. So tell us about what you did.
Well, this is actually only my second eTee.
Which is amazing.
I know it is, but so I decided to do the pleat sleeve second because it's a little bit longer and pleats are fun. So I shortened everything by 2 inches, which I almost always do because I'm shorter than you are. Except the sleeves, I left the length that it was.
Right.
And I did have to shorten the shoulder seam by about 3/8 of an inch.
Yeah. The first one you walked in a couple weeks ago was your first one,
right.
And you asked me if the shoulders were right or wrong. I said, you know, they're fine, but if you want to shorten them, you know how to do it.
Yeah.
They're narrow, the shoulders. So it does look good, and I think it's perfect. But it's so interesting because Deb wears a lot of dresses, a lot of really oversized dresses, you know, layered, gathered designs. But this is kind of the first time I've ever seen you in a shaped top, and you look fantastic.
It does make me feel better. I feel like I have a little bit of a waist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recently lost quite a bit of weight a few years ago, and having a hard time getting back into things that are fitted.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it.
And I don't know that I call this fitted, but it's just shaped.
Right.
Gives you some shape. I'd agree with you. The curved hemline of the eTee is very flattering. It does have a flare at the sides, which is meant to be there. We think that's pretty cool. And you have on your is it Picassos? No, Hudsos. Oh, those are Picassos. Yes. This is not a fabric that we currently have, but we'll be talking about a fabric next week, actually, that would be perfect and look just like it. But these are the Picassos. You've added a pocket.
The pockets. It's the seam pocket.
Yep. We went over that process, I don't know, a few weeks ago on Facebook Live, so you can always use our index and figure out which presentation had the pocket.
Yeah.
So it's an inseam pocket. The Picasso pants don't have a true side seam. There's a kind of a forward seam and a backward seam, so you've added the pockets to the front. I've done that too, and it's perfect.
Also did the patch pockets on the side.
You've done that too, that's right. Yeah. So really cute. The lavender on the bottom, the more deeper purple. What's the color of this in our...
This is the wild violet, so it's also a color that's in the kit.
Yes, that's right. You can still get a kit, right, of this from that and you don't have to be a member of So Confident to order the kit.
Right.
Yeah, you just get a discount if you're part of So Confident.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the kit's still available, and you can, if you order the pattern and you're part of So Confident, you have the 3 sleeve patterns: the pleated sleeve, the ruched sleeve, and the tie sleeve. Those are the 3 sleeve patterns, all graded for you, ready to go. So it's an easy transition. They all fit in the arm's eye of the eTee, and you can just make it up. So, okay, well, you look great.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks for coming up. I said coming up because our studio is on the 2nd floor, so Deb has to go down the freight elevator to get to the office. Okay, I announced last week that we had a website issue on our accounts. Actually, Erin was the one who was talking about it. We had hoped that it would be fixed by today. It is not. We have everyone from the CEO of our cart system company to other people within that company working on it, plus our own person in Topeka. And it is a mystery at this point, but they are working on it. So at the moment, you are not able to see the history of in your account. But we do want you to continue ordering through that account. At some point, it will show up. We are hoping and think that that's correct information, at least at this point. So go ahead and order through your account. It's not a problem. You're just not able to see the history of things. If by some chance there is something you desperately need that you ordered a year ago, let us know, and we can help you get the information that you need. So I am very sorry about it. It's just one of these, who knows, way above our pay grade tech issues that we have some experts working on. All right, so we have something exciting happening this Friday. Alex Woodbury has begun her Live with Alex series of fashion and fabric. I call it a fabric and fashion discussion series. She may have a better name for it, but I think that I'm pretty close. Well, July 21st is the launch of the new Barbie movie, and the hottest trend on the planet right now is Barbiecore, which is all about pink, hot pink, fuchsia, all kinds of how you incorporate pink into your lives. And if you don't like pink, it's okay. You can still tune in because Alex is always fun in the way she makes her presentations. She'll be doing it live from Cleveland at 11 o'clock Central Time, so 12 o'clock Eastern and 9 o'clock West Coast. So I hope you'll join her, and you can chat with her, and then, of course, it will be recorded, and you can watch it later. It'll be on Instagram. I'm right about that, correct? That the Live with Alex is on Instagram?
Oh, that's a great,
or is it
that's a great
Facebook? I guess I don't really know the answer to that. So perhaps someone, either Betsy or Alex, will answer that in the chat and let us know so I can watch it. But I've been seeing a lot of influence of this whole Barbie scene in advertising and fashion in magazines and newspapers, and it's really fun to watch. It's just interesting how something can be such an influence on fashion.
And it is Facebook and then YouTube, so.
Facebook and YouTube. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry about that.
Not Instagram.
Not Instagram. But we do have something on Instagram going on, which is our Instagram challenge. And you have a couple more weeks to participate. If you'll go to our blog, there are the rules for how to utilize and be influenced by an artist, a very particular modern artist. And you can choose one of her paintings and put together either a mood board or an ensemble or pull from your closet or make a whole new outfit, whatever, and submit something, put it on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to put it, or send it to Betsy at sewingworkshop.com and she will post it for you. Or if you need help putting something together, please contact us and we can help you put it into a format that is readable to everybody. But I've been following what people are putting together, and it is fascinating to me and really fun because people are presenting some whimsical kinds of details to it, and it makes it really fun. So I know you're studying those paintings and choosing something that just kind of hits you. It's great. So check that out. I'm also starting something else. So every week on Facebook Live, I am going to be digging into my private stash, my lifelong private stash, and I'm going to be selling off a piece of my own personal fabric every week. the way, if you're interested in it, you can email me at linda@sewingworkshop.com and tell me you want it. And the first person who says that is the person who's going to get it. So this week's private stash fabric is a cotton ikat. I love ikats. They're geometric, they're historical, but they're in my opinion, they're very contemporary. So these, of course, this is my favorite color on earth. And so it was the first one. I had to start out with something that had my color in it. This is a 2.5 yard cut of fabric that is 45 inches wide, I believe. It looks a little wider than that. I forgot to measure that part, but it's definitely 2.5 yards long. So for $25, you can have this piece, and we will ship it to you, and there's free shipping. We will send you a Venmo invoice, and you can pay for it that way, and it's yours. So tune in every week. There'll be a new piece of fabric every week. All right.
I bet you that's already sold.
It's already sold?
I'm just guessing.
Maybe. All right. Many of you know that the early part of my career and my education actually was in interior design. So I have always loved chairs. I think there's a relationship between chairs and people and bodies. You know, you have arms and seats and legs and all of the backs and all of that. And over the years, I have actually collected a few what I call iconic chairs. The chairs that are in museums, the chairs that we can identify by a famous designer. And I don't have this chair, but one of the chairs I have always coveted is a hand chair. And that is literally what it's called. It is capitalized hand, capitalized chair, and there's a hyphen between the two words. And this chair was designed in 1962 by Pedro Friedeberg. And okay, so that's just in my little pile of interesting chairs. I didn't think too much about it. But in January, Alex and I went to Mexico for a little vacation. And we walked into a Pedro Friedeberg gallery. And I at first didn't know what the gallery was. But I realized when I went in there that, the gallery was full of his pieces. Now, I find him to be a very interesting character. He was born in Florence, Italy. He and his family moved to Mexico City, as well as all kinds of artists from all over the world at that time, particularly Europe, who were trying to escape, of course, Nazi Germany. So Mexico City became this very famous place for artists such as Frida Kahlo, other names that you would know. He was part of that scene. Through the years, he became known as a surrealist, and he has this huge array of art that he has done through the years, from furniture to paintings to sculpture to jewelry to everything. It's fabulous, and that gallery was really something. I happened to shoot a picture within the gallery. There's a gallery in Mexico City, and there's a gallery in San Miguel de Allende. And this was the gallery. In fact, there's Alex in the mirror, eating something, I think. I'm not sure. I can't figure that out. But there's the hand chair. There have been tons of reproductions of these chairs over the years, but the real ones you can get on a site called First Dibs, which is a site that I follow. I've never actually purchased anything on First Dibs, pretty much because of the pricing, but they do put out a magazine once a month. So on my email, I get these magazines. And this week's email was about Pedro Friedeberg and his house in Mexico City, which is chock full of all of his pieces, including the hand chair. So I thought he's a fascinating character, and I think you should look him up if you don't know anything about him. And you could even go to First Dibs and I'm sure download or read this magazine. But some of the best lines I've heard in a long time. First of all, he is really over the top in terms of detail and excess and all of that. But his parents were minimalists. They were Bauhaus people. But he loved Louis XV. He says he recalls a horrendous portrait of Madame Pompadour fondly. It was decadent, and he was a Louis XV fan from that point on when he was a kid. So now he says, this is his daily routine. So he gets up at the crack of noon, and after watering my piranhas, I breakfast off things Corinthian. Later in the day, I partake in an iconic lunch, followed by a Doric nap. On Tuesdays, I sketch a volute or two, and perhaps a pediment if the mood overtakes me. So architecture, of course, is a big deal. If you've seen these sculptural staircases that wind around and are very three-dimensional and have people and columns and spires and all of that all over the staircases, that's him. So he's very influenced by pediments and columns and architecture and all kinds of cultures. I don't know whether I should say this or not because I'm standing up here. We're going to talk about trends and hot pink and Barbiecore, and we always talk about fashion, but here's his take on fashion. I feel so very sorry for our civilization where everything has to change every 15 years or so. Fashion, art, mentality, politics, architecture, food, and pets. I admire the Egyptian or the Chinese civilization where everything lasted like 5,000 years. If we didn't have to bother about being a la mode, fashion is a terrible invention. So you can tell he's a pretty interesting character, and I urge you to check out his name, Pedro Friedeberg, and also you can check out the price of these hand chairs. You can buy them now on First Dibs anywhere from $5,000 to $51,000, depending on the finish that you want. So there you go. Okay, that's my story for the day. So today we're going to talk about the Frankie shirt primarily. The Frankie shirt has been interesting. It's not one of those patterns that we talk about a great deal, but it actually is one of our most popular patterns. We send out a lot of patterns to our distributors who send out patterns to retail stores all over the world. And so that seems to be our biggest seller for that genre of buyer. And so we've been rethinking the Frankie and realizing why it's so popular. So I have it on. This is one of the originals that I made, I don't know, a few years ago. Let me pull one in to show you some of the features of it that make it a really unusual piece. This is made in a stripe, and obviously the stripes on this have been reversed, which is not part of the pattern, of course, but there's no real side seam. The side seam, so to speak, is a dart that ends here. Comes out of the arm's eye at the center seam location and ends there. Then the garment is actually seamed on the diagonal at the back. So this is somewhat loose in a panel. It's top stitched to about this point, which is good, but if you want it longer, you can stitch it a little bit longer. It has an inverted pleat that's stitched down from the center back at the neckline. One of the more interesting features is this two-piece sleeve. Now, this is not a traditional two-piece sleeve as we know it in tailoring. You know how in a tailored jacket, a great sleeve is two-piece so that it has a natural bend to it. This is just an interesting sleeve because it's two pieces and you can do some fun things with it. It's also a sleeve that is hemmed at two different lengths. So if you're not good at matching hems, this is your sleeve. It's off anyway. But the undersleeve can be in a contrast fabric or not, but it's quite a different shape. You'll see that in a minute. The collar is simple, just a nice stand-up collar. It's actually a straight piece that is applied to a curved neckline. So those are the elements of the Frankie that make it interesting to make. The pattern pieces are all just a little bit quirky and fun. It's not hard to make, but just different, so it makes it fun to sew. I think it's popular because it is reasonably fitted, not super fitted on the top through the bust and the shoulders and so forth, but obviously there's quite a bit of ease in the hips and the waist, and you can make the length any length that you want, long or short. So there's lots of reasons to think about making this because there are very few alterations that you need to make it fit you. You would use the pattern that fits your bust and go from there. So that is the Frankie. But I want to talk about a couple of things that we have discovered with the Frankie over the years. I don't know why I say years. It hasn't been out that long, but a few years at least. So let me go back to this. I'm sorry. I rolled that away just a little bit quickly. So you can see on some people, when people try this on, not everyone, not me, which is why we didn't catch it, I think, at the beginning, you can see that the collar tends to stand away a little bit from the neck. And I think that can be corrected. And if you have that issue with the pattern, I'm going to show you how to make that correction. I think this is a garment also because it has this separate overlapping center back panel. It can feel a little bit heavier in the back than a normal shirt, and so it might tend to feel like it wants to slide back. Again, it doesn't do that on me, but I have seen it on other people. So if you have the tendency of garments, if you're yanking them to pull them forward all the time, I'm going to show you how to do a balancing technique to correct that. So now I'll pull my little easel out. So let's talk about this collar. And the reason I'm going to talk about it on this pattern is so unusual in the way it's constructed that you have to really kind of think about things. There's a back piece, and that's this part right here, center back. And because of the inverted pleat, then you have to identify what really is the center back. And the center back is actually a stitching line at the center back. And this excess is part of that inverted pleat. So this is not the center back, this is not the center back. The dotted line on the pattern is the center back. But then there's a whole side and front piece that's connected. And so I have overlapped this side front, it's called, to the back. I've overlapped that 1.25 inches, which is 2 5/8 inch seam allowances, in order to get a complete back neckline. So I have put a dot here, which is the seam allowance, 5/8 inch seam allowance at the shoulder and the neck, and also put a dot at the center back. And you can see that this back is cut out quite a bit. It's fairly deep. And so if this is gaping at the neck, and you might want to raise that center back, this is how you do it. So I determined that a pretty standard dimension for raising that is 5/8 of an inch. So I actually have that drawn wrong, don't I? This would actually start at the center back. You would raise it 5/8 of an inch. I've marked this here. I should have marked it over there. Sorry about that. So at the center back, you would mark a dot at 5/8 of an inch. Take some kind of a curve, like a French curve or even a hip curve or a variform curve, and create a nice new curved line from that point to the original shoulder seam. And then I just folded this pattern back to get that same profile there. And that should have been done right there. Why am I showing this when I can't believe it. Well, okay. There's a reason why this happened, but I won't bother to tell you about it. Anyway, point is you can raise this, redraw the curve, and actually that is, you know what, I'd have to think about it again. Is this right?
I mean, you would raise it
the profile there, or should I have folded it there to create the profile? I think I'm right, actually.
Let's just move
You know what, Erin and I need to chat about this afterwards. I hope you get the concept. I'm raising the center back 5/8 of an inch. And I'm creating a new curve, which is the most important part right here. And then I need to emulate and do some folding to create the same shape so that when you fold the inverted pleat back, it lines up with this line. Okay, so that's the center back. You don't do anything to the front. That neckline stays the same. I like the way this hits. It's not too high, it's not too low. I tend to button it up, but you don't have to. You can wear it open. Doesn't matter. All right, but then you have to deal with the collar because it might not fit any longer. So I have taken my trusty curve runner, which I hope everyone has invested in because this is the best tool I've found in a long time. I've drawn a new 5/8 inch line from my shoulder to my center back. And I've measured that using this curve. And that measures 3 1/8. Then I measured the neckline, the finished neckline of the front, and that measured 5.5 inches. 5.5 and 3 1/8. Yes. So that is 8 5/8 of an inch. a combination of the front and the back neck. Now, of course, things would be doubled in the total circumference, but we're working with half pattern pieces and half collar piece. So that's all you really need to care about. So I measured the attachment line. I told you that the collar was a straight piece. That's going to be attached to the neckline, the curved neckline. And I measured the original width from the center back to the finished point at the seam of the collar. And that measured 9 1/4. So you can see I'm 5/8 of an inch off. The collar is 5/8 of an inch too big for the neckline. Coincidentally, that's what I added at the back. I cannot guarantee that's going to be the case in every pattern, in every neckline, because this is just what I did and it worked out. And it tends to be somewhat common, but it can be a little bit different. So trust whatever you've measured, and this line should now be the same as the finished stitching line of the combination of the front and the back. So I have simply drawn a new fold line at the center back of the collar, 5/8 of an inch over from the original. So this collar should now fit. That was hard. Why was that hard?
Pattern alterations are not easy.
I know. You have to really think about it. And I had some interruptions this morning when I was doing some of this. And anyway, okay. So I hope that's as clear as mud, and that we may have some questions, and I can come back to it for sure. But to address the issue of balancing, where if you feel like you need to pull this garment forward, or any garment, this applies to any garment, this is what you do. In this case, the complete shoulder seam is on the front, and the front side is called, but it's on the front part right next to the neckline. And of course, the complete shoulder seam is on the back. So you draw a straight line parallel to the original shoulder line, 1/2 inch down into the front. You're removing it. You're taking it away. You cut that piece off, and you can either tape it to the shoulder cut line of the back, or you can just draw a new line, whichever you want, but it's the same distance. If you're removing 1/2 inch, you're going to add 1/2 inch. And 1/2 inch is real standard. It could be 1/4 inch, it could be 3/8 of an inch, it could be 1/8 of an inch, but it is, I've not really ever seen it more than that. So I would start with 1/2 inch. By doing that, you have moved the shoulder seam. So on your sleeve, and you can see this is a strange sleeve because this is the upper sleeve, you simply move the connecting marking dot 1/2 inch, the same distance, towards the front. Double notches indicate the back, so you would move it that direction 1/2 of an inch. Let's see if there's any questions now, since I got that. I was kind of all over the board there.
Okay. So this is called what? This alteration?
Balancing.
That's the balancing. So
Yes.
could you do a round back adjustment in addition to the 5/8 inch adjustment to the back?
Yes, I would still do that. That's a different issue, because when you do a round back adjustment, you are not adjusting the neck. You are adjusting the distance and the way that the fabric hangs at the bottom. It is not raising the neck. Even though I know what you're thinking, you're pushing that wedge up. That's not changing where the neckline falls on you. That is adding more fabric in length. So you would do both. And in our fitting encyclopedia book and workbook, these sorts of, both of, I do the shoulder adjustments in the order that you would do them, and balancing is the very last thing you would do.
If you take 5/8 inch on the fold line, aren't you removing too much since the collar piece is on the fold?
Well, so is the back. The back piece is on the fold as well.
And that measurement really, I mean, just coincidentally, I think,
Yeah.
happened to work out because you're taking it out of,
Right.
or you're
Exactly.
adding it to the height.
I know.
Versus,
It was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
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 I should have tried some other numbers and see what really happened.
Is there a maximum amount you can add or subtract? I seem to be getting rounder and rounder, so most of my makes slide back.
Is there a maximum on the balancing, you think? Is that the question, or the neck?
It doesn't say.
Okay, if we're talking about balancing, this 1/2 inch I think is maximum. If you're talking about the neckline, I think you could do up to 1 inch. Maybe even a little bit more than that. I don't know that it really matters. If you're talking about the round back adjustment, I have found that about 1.25 inches is about max on that. So hopefully that answers those 3 different issues.
Would you move the shoulder point on the collar forward too?
We have no, because the distance from the center front to the notch still is the same. So it's the distance from basically from the center back to the shoulder that has been changed. Mm-hmm. So no.
What size are you wearing?
I don't know. There was no tag in it. I suspect this is a small or a medium, but maybe a small. I don't know. It looks
I feel like that
a little
one's
bit oversized, so this could be a medium.
I think that one's a medium. I know the white stripe one is smaller.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a small or extra small.
Yeah, sometimes we run out of size tags or we're too lazy to put them in. That second statement is more accurate than you think. And so I forget. Maybe I should leave this out.
Okay, somebody suggested maybe a blog post on doing these adjustments to the Frankie, which is a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. There are a few people who are having issues with the green screen. If you want to just close your window and reload, some people are suggesting using, I believe, Firefox or Safari and not Chrome. So, just in case anybody's still having any issues. Do any of these changes address the collar standing away from the neck?
Yes, that's what this is, the adjustment that addresses the collar standing away from the neck.
All right, right now I don't see any other questions.
Okay, great. So one of the favorite fabrics that we've used to make the Frankie is a denim-like fabric. You can always tell a denim because it's one color, not dyed. It's a yarn dyed fabric on one side and the sort of gray tone on the other. That's when you know it's a denim. But you can see that this is very drapey. It's not a traditional denim, but it's not a chambray either. Chambrays tend to be a little stiffer. So this fabric is a combination of rayon and polyester, but it looks like denim. And I think this is a really successful Frankie. Now, Erin made this, and we've laughed about it. I don't know how long ago she made it, but I finally made her stitch the sleeve because she forgot to stitch one sleeve. But it's not fixed, and we can show it now. But I think this is a really fantastic garment. You can wear this casually, a little bit dressy, or you could wear it with white pants. You could wear it with print pants. You could wear it with helix pants, pencil pants, Hudson pants, pant styles like that, something just a little bit narrower. I say the Hudsons that I have on today are about as wide as I want to go with this oversized look. And I think I would prefer probably the helix pants or the pencil pants, actually. I just didn't happen to have any helix pants in white, and I wanted to wear white with this. I thought it would be pretty. But nevertheless, this is the fabric that started this conversation for this week. And so I've pulled out the 4 colorways of this fabric. We have this, we're calling this royal blue. This has a lot of purple in it. So it's almost like a blueberry blue. But again, it's the very same fabric as that, denim, so to speak. The content is 66% rayon, 31% polyester, and it also has 3% elastic, and so that makes it even more comfortable for movement. So here's the blueberry blue, called, what did I just say? Royal blue on the website, I believe. This one is called blue. How about that? Betsy was feeling very creative when she labeled this one. It's called blue. But this is a very denim, traditional denim type color. And then I noticed on the screen when I was looking earlier that this looks a little bit brown, but this is really gray. But I would say it does have a musty gray tone to it, so it's not like charcoal. But we are calling it charcoal, so you'll know that it's a gray tone. But on the screen, it may look a little bit brown to you. And then at the bottom is also a very traditional blue, denim blue. Deb made some Chesney pants in, we're not sure. We think maybe it's this one. And the reason I'm telling you that I'm not sure, and she's not sure, is that she has washed these pants dozens of times. And it just has that fantastic denim look to it. And even, it's losing its color just a little bit in the perfect places, just like denim does. The side seam maybe looks, I don't know, not much, but she was saying it looked lighter. I can hardly see that. A little bit. But I love what she did. She used the Chesney pants, and she had torn the fabric to find her straight of grain, and then ended up using that torn edge for the bottom of her pants. She ran a straight stitching line, and then I don't know whether she washed them again or fringed them. I forgot to ask her. But nevertheless, she's used that raw edge that she tore for the bottom of her pants. Chesney pants has this great pocket in it. I love the pocket, an elastic waist, and she's added some back patch pockets, which I think are very fun. And my guess is she's used the flat iron pattern, because we have a flat iron pocket piece that has this perfect curve to it. And she's got perfect curves on those, but she's a good sewer. So this fabric makes great pants as well, even though we're featuring the Frankie. Think about pants, and the Chesneys are the perfect pants. So these 4 fabrics are that fabric. But I pulled out 5 other fabrics that I think would make great Frankies or Chesneys. So this is a print, obviously, like a splatter print called Shades of Blue, and this is 100% cotton. It'd be a very comfortable shirt to make or wear. But I have been talking about cotton pants all summer because as I've gone to some nice places and gone into some very nice independent boutiques, I've seen a lot of cotton pants. And I usually think of pants as needing to be a little more drapey, but I'm deciding that I'm wrong about that. That I'm seeing 100% cotton pants, and I even own a couple, and they're very, very comfortable. I think this can go almost year-round, can go year-round in certain climates, and almost year-round in our climate. This is a denim-like fabric. It is not true denim. It's a stretch woven. It's the tag does not have a fiber on it. So Betsy may have to tell us if she knows. Sometimes we don't know. It may have some cotton in it, may have some rayon in it. But one of the things I want to point out is whenever a fabric is a stretch woven, there are issues about the direction of the stretch. So normally you would cut out your pants so that, with the pant patterns going this way and the stretch would be going around you. But this has no stretch on the horizontal. All the stretch is on the vertical. So you need to turn your pattern pieces and lay them cross grain. You never need more fabric. I think I'm going to sneeze, believe it or not, right in the middle of this Facebook Live. I'll try not to. No, I think I'm going to. I'm so sorry. You do not need more fabric. Many times you need less fabric. cutting on the cross grain can save fabric. But just order whatever the pattern says and you'll be fine. But you need to check it. I've made this mistake a time or two of just laying the fabric on the table, putting those pattern pieces down, get the garment made, and I'm going, oh, I can't move. I can go like this. So you need to pay attention. All right, here's another cotton that I just love. This is a blue background with a white design to it that has a little bit of a paisley flavor to it, but it's really kind of like coral, I'll call it, sea coral. I think this is 100% cotton, but let me check. Yes. 60-inch wide cotton. I think this is beautiful. Those would be really fun pants or the Frankie. This is more of a kind of a burnout jacquard. That's a strange technical term, I know. In fact, I'm sure it doesn't even exist. This is polyester and cotton, 38% cotton. And I think these would make great pants or top. And then this color is quite interesting, I think. This beautiful kind of mint ash blue, we call it. 97% rayon, 3% spandex. So you get this fabulous drape. And it would make either top or bottom as well. So those are the fabrics that we're featuring. I have a couple of other Frankies here that I thought I would show you that are kind of fun. This is actually a border print. We just got a new border print in that I think you'll see coming up. And so obviously this is another example of a garment that was cut on the cross grain because this border was on the selvage edge. And also used the border to feature that under sleeve, we call it. And notice the one different button at the top. The Frankie also looks good in a knit. This is wool jersey. Very hard to come by these days. But this puts this into a little different category for me. I wear this in the wintertime. And I can wear it open as a jacket or closed as a shirt. And it's very, very comfortable. All right. I think I've done it.
So a couple other questions.
Okay.
You can make it out of like 100% cotton or...
Absolutely.
So any certain weight or anything like that?
You know, I think that that's somewhat of a personal choice. These are all medium, lightweight fabrics. Some have drape, some don't. I don't think it matters. You know, this Frankie is super drapey because of the drape that's in these fabrics. But this cotton one with the border print is 100% cotton, and it doesn't have the same kind of drape to it. It doesn't have that heavy hanging drape. So I would equate this fabric more to this one and this one and this one. And then I would equate this drape to these and the bottom one down there.
What's the fabric that you're wearing?
The fabric that I'm wearing is a silk something. We no longer have it. We had it in a couple of colors a couple of years ago. It's a silk something. Just don't remember exactly. By the way, I noticed my hand necklace. I had to dig that out today because of the hand chair.
If you want to have more shape in the front, is there any way to do that with the Frankie, like adding bust darts or French darts?
Sure. You can add bust darts to this. You can add bust fullness without a dart or with a dart. You could add French darts if you want to. Sure. You can mess around. I would suggest perhaps making a muslin of that just to check it for placement and how much.
Would the Frankie be good for a dress?
What do you think?
I've made it as a dress, sleeveless.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cute. I did have to stitch it down more, like you were talking about.
Yes.
Like if you lengthen it, you do need to stitch it down more, you know, depending on your
right
level of comfort.
Yeah, you would stitch this down more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that dress. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, the answer is yes.
And they do want to see an up-close shot of the burnout. So.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get closer.
This is actually a print, so it's not a burnout. I love this. It has a very vintage feel to it. Vintage and historical, kind of, too. Vintage, yeah, artistic. It's great.
Kind of gives metallic vibes to it. Is it metallic or?
I'm not seeing what I call metallic. If it's metallic, it is pretty darn subtle.
Okay.
There is a little bit of a sheen to it, but I think that's in the weave rather than the print.
Yeah, overall, it does look like it has a sheen.
Does
the
it?
Entire
Okay.
fabric. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close up I don't see it too much. I see the light bouncing off of it differently, so maybe that's part of the... It's a very interesting weave. You know what, I'm wrong about this. This is a jacquard because I can see the pattern on the other side. So it is in the weave. Well, that's interesting, but the blue is a print. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, the blue is the print. This part's the jacquard weave in it. Okay, that's not going to go away.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
For a larger print, how would that look on a smaller person?
We were talking about that yesterday. Yesterday we were looking at some large prints, and Deb was here, of course, and Linda Wardlow was here. Both of them are, well, Linda Wardlow's about Deb's size, and you've seen her. And we had two different opinions about that. Linda Wardlow was more fearful of large prints, and Deb says, you know, I've done that. People told me I couldn't wear those, and I put them on, and then they compliment me. So I don't know the answer to that. I think that's your comfort level. I have no problem personally with large prints on smaller people, but that is, it's up to you. Is there a better way to answer that? I mean,
I think it is a style preference. I think
so.
And I think you can also break up larger prints too if you are a little, hesitant about them.
Right.
Maybe pick a garment that has more seams, and so it looks more abstract.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference between the Frankie, Liberty, and the London?
Oh gosh. All right. There is a relationship between the London and the Liberty in the fact that the two front seams are forward, and the front is shorter and the back is longer. But those are seams in the front. And the back is one large shape. The Frankie is very different. The Frankie does not have those forward thrust seams. The front and this, I'm going to get another color of that. Maybe here. You can see it better here because of the fabrics. So the pattern piece of the Frankie, this is all one pattern piece. This side, back, and the front. So when you see the pattern piece, you see an opening in the pattern piece for the entire arm's eye. And then there's a dart here that's just a shaping dart. That's the primary difference, really. And for the Liberty and the London, there's actually a seam that starts near the side seam and comes forward and creates a totally different shape. I wouldn't put these in the same category as either one of those. But I would think about the London and the Liberty kind of in the same conversation, although one is more fitted than the other. One's drop-shouldered, one's not. There's other issues, but yeah.
How would you compare the fit between the three?
The London is oversized, the Liberty is not. The Frankie is not oversized in the upper portion of the garment, but oversized in the lower.
Okay. I don't see any other questions.
Okay.
Oh, here's one more. Is the narrow shoulder adjustment done in which order?
The narrow shoulder adjustment is the very first thing you do on any pattern. It's number one in our fitting book, and it's number one that you would do. Narrow or widening, either one.
So you would do that before you even change the
Oh, I
back.
see. Yes.
Okay.
Although that doesn't affect the neckline by narrowing the shoulder, I'm not sure it matters. But I would think that would be something you'd want to do first. Just, I'm not sure why. I don't think there's a logic to why.
I guess if you just kept that in your mind, that's what you first do, then.
Yeah, because when you're doing a narrow or widening shoulder, you're adjusting out here, and you're not affecting the neckline.
Okay.
These are challenging questions today.
Is Frankie printed or download?
Both.
Okay, I don't see anything else.
All right. So first of all, be sure and catch Alex, Live with Alex on Friday at 11 o'clock Central Time for fashion and fabric discussion, all about Barbie and the Barbiecore trends. And what's on sale this week is the Frankie pattern, both print and digital, the Chesney pants, which are digital, and we have a tutorial about the anatomy of a sleeve, how you compare sleeve shapes to circumferences of arm size, how you change the girth of a sleeve if the sleeve is too narrow for you, and also how to put it in, how to set it in. I think it's a great tutorial. We haven't featured that for a while. So check that out, anatomy of a sleeve. Okay. Thanks.
And did you say the percentage off for the fabrics? Did you say that?
Oh, I didn't say that, and I guess I don't really know, but I'm assuming it's 15%. Is that what it is? Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. Well, I'm curious who bought your fabric.
Yeah.
I think
Can't
that'll
wait.
be really fun to see what you have each week.
Well, it's going to be. It's going to. I have to shed a little tear every week, but I have quite a few. So this will take a while.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for joining me. See you next week.